Hey, what's good? It's your boy Fred T. Williams. Listen, thank you all for tuning in to today's special episode of the Combos Podcast with your boy Fred T. Williams. Listen, this episode today is about grief and loss. That's one of the things that we don't really necessarily talk about a lot in church. We don't talk about a lot in circles and things of that nature, but it's something that we wanted to give pause and give space to on today. Um, the day that this airs, it marks 27 years that my mother has been gone. She passed June 19th, 1999. And this is the first time I'm ever having a real candid conversation in regards to the journey of it, what it looks like, um, how I've processed it, how I've dealt with it, how I've handled it. And this is part one of a two-part conversation. And so um, I pray that it blesses you. I pray that you gain some insight, you glean some wisdom, but more than anything, I pray that you face the grief that you need to face, that you go through the process that you need to go through the process so that you can come out healthy on the other side. All right, love y'all. Let us know in the comments what you think. Hey, everybody, it's your boy Fred T. Williams again, and welcome to the Combos Podcast with myself, Fred T. Williams, and I'm joined again by my special friend, my dear friend, Chaz'ara Melody. She is a licensed therapist, grief counselor, relationship therapist there in the UK. And this episode is actually very different, very different. Number one is dropping on an alternate date. It is not a Juneteenth special, even though it's dropping on the 19th. It is not a Juneteenth special. This episode is actually dedicated to grief and loss. Um, Grief is one of the things that hits us that we don't necessarily um, have the full blueprint to perfection on when it comes to each individual because it's different for each individual. There are certain principles that go into grieving that I believe are universal. However, the process itself um, it's different for each individual, and so on this special episode, we're going to be dealing with grief and loss. The 19th, the day that this will air, it'll be 27 years that my mom has passed. She passed June 19th, 1999. And my goal with this was to do something different than I've done the last 27 years. I've processed grief in a weird kind of way. I don't think it's been the most healthy, but I deemed it the most productive for my life to keep me moving. And one of the one of the things that I wanted to do is, I guess, just give space
Mm,
for the real conversation, which, believe it or not, I haven't done in 27 years. I've talked around it,
mm,
given highlights, as to what it felt like. Um, I've echoed consistently me missing my mom, and but I've never actually, in 27 years, had an actual real out conversation in depth, um, or as deep as I can go without my eyes starting to sweat about it. And so today I wanted to do something different. It's felt like grief has been leading me, in a sense when it comes to this particular
mm,
time of the year. And so I wanted to flip the script on it, and just kind of cut that cord of being led um, by the grief, by the absence, by the loss, the tremendous weight, that falls on me at this time of year every year. And smiling through it, laughing through it, still showing up for everybody,
mm,
still being present because life doesn't stop. Responsibilities don't ease. Um, but compartmentalizing, because I'm great at that, compartmentalizing to a degree that um, when the silence comes, it hits
mm,
like tidal waves. And
mm,
so that's I don't think that's healthy, even for my mental health and being a man of faith. Doesn't diminish God's ability to do anything. There are a lot of things we oftentimes we put on God that we have responsibility for. And so I want to make sure I'm responsible for um, stewarding. for lack of better words, this grief journey process,
Mhm.
loss, absence, heartbreak, heartache, the missing, because again, people would say, "Oh, it's been such time. You should be good by now. Cut it out." I think
They don't know.
we've become so
Mm.
insensitive to the individual process that grief bears on one another, and we use scriptures loosely, like Jesus said, "Let the dead bury the dead." Shut up unless you know what that means. Like sometimes, people just talk and they say things, and I've charged it to them being helpful, but sometimes ignorance is not helpful. It's just better to be quiet, when you don't know. And those are
Mm.
some of the things that I've allowed to um, guide my grief journey. The things that people say, scriptures out of context, um, almost in a sense of making me feel like I'm far behind.
Mm.
If 20 something years later, I still miss my mom, and yeah, so um, Shower, you can jump in at any time.
I
Yeah.
feel you here. I think one thing that would be good to share, or what I would like you to share on, is with the anniversary coming up of your mum's passing, 27 years, what emotions have you been feeling this week as it approaches?
Oh, this week, this particular week, it seems like the older I get, um, the more the memories flood as to the things my mom said, how she was, how she operated, the love she gave, her presence, and what
Mm.
her presence meant, what her presence symbolized. And so this week has been it's been a tug of war, in a sense that missing, and that missing turning into a longing, and that longing turning into an aching.
Mm.
Um, and it's the presence, it's the not having to jump through hoops, um, the understanding. I think more than anything is the understanding. And I'll say this until I'm blue in the face or until it changes. Um, there was an understanding that I got from my mom that I have yet to find again on this earth. It's like
Yeah.
it was a it was a viewing, like, and don't get me wrong, I've got understanding people in my life, so don't get me wrong
Mm.
on that.
Of
But it's
course.
a different kind. It's like I know you in advance, so I understand.
Wow.
I know how your mind works, so I understand. Um, I give space
Mm.
for you being you, and I don't challenge it. I don't laugh at it. I don't.
Mm.
I embrace all of it, and I think, the most affirming person that I've ever had in my life was my mom. It was just like even when I'm talking about, I remember, just take it back one memory. Growing up, everybody in my house could sing except me. Couldn't sing, couldn't find a note, couldn't find it if it was stapled to my forehead. Couldn't find it, couldn't find it. And they give it to me 19 different ways, and it just would not click.
Mm.
And my mom's reply to me being off was always, "If you keep trying, you'll get it." It was never, "Oh, you off key, be quiet." You know how
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes you,
yeah,
you get
yeah,
that? And to some
yeah.
people that may seem small, that may seem like it's a nothing,
Mm.
that may
Mm.
mean nothing. Um, but it was like, if you keep trying, you'll get it. And then one day my mom was in the kitchen, my older brother Steven. Saturday mornings was like the cleanup day. So it was some Earth, Wind and Fire going on the record player, yes. And it was a beautiful Saturday. And then my mom cut the Earth, Wind and Fire off and just started singing Blessed Assurance. That was like the song. Just like
Oh.
random moments where solos would break out in the Williams household. And
Mm.
so she started singing Blessed Assurance, and then her and my brother went into two-part harmony, and it was like so cool. And I came in, I did not have the harmony, but I actually hit the same note at first try that my
Yeah.
brother was on, and he shifted to a different note. And my mom literally stopped making the breakfast pork chops and like ran over to me and gave me the biggest hug ever and was like, "You're on key."
Oh my
And for
God.
me, yeah, that stuck in
Mm,
my mind. That stuck in my mind forever. And so, still to this day, that I don't know why, but that's just it just sticks in my mind. And so
it's a core
a lot of the
memory.
thing, yeah, and so a
Mm,
lot of the things that I do in life, I do with that memory kind of fueling in the background. Like if you
mm,
keep trying, you'll get it. If you keep
yeah.
trying, you'll get it. And then
Mhm,
when I finally get it, like I'll just close my eyes, and in this space, it's like I can feel my mom saying, "You got it." Like you got it. Like you're
mm,
good. You're on it. And so
wow.
I think part of my this week, and I don't know, and this could be my processing, but part of this week has just been this week, this month actually has just been, like I said, the longing, the missing turning into a longing, the longing turning into an aching, and I don't question. I can honestly say I don't necessarily question the sovereignty of God with her leaving when I was 17, her transitioning out when I was 17. However,
You put that however in 'cause I was
look,
gonna say, how did you get to that part? Mm,
however,
mm,
still to this day, um, there is that question in the back of my mind, like, why?
of course.
It's still there, like, why? And it's not to say, I went through the part where I'm like, other people were hellions. They were like horrible parents, and they're still here
Yeah,
breathing, walking around,
yeah.
celebrating 80th and 90th birthdays,
Mhm.
and my mom is gone, and she was an amazing mom, and kindest person in the world. Some people are just horrible people to each other. They're just horrible. My mom
Yeah.
was an angel, and it was like, and we say all the flowery things like, oh, she was so sweet. God had to bring her home
Mm,
to her. He loved her so much, and
mm.
yeah,
Mhm.
and even with her getting cancer, cancer did not run in my family like that. And
Mm,
so, my family had a history of, according to doctors and all that other stuff, heart disease, diabetes. She didn't get any of those. She got cancer. And
mm,
so, and it was just so weird. Even the timing, that just everything is like the questions. God healed her before. Why, you know, and
yeah.
I got more years with her, I do believe, than if the diagnosis had stuck the first time, then I would have had. Um, I believe that, but again, well, not but, however,
Mhm, mhm,
however,
mhm.
uh, the absence, the absence is real, and then there's the subsequent journey that my life went on immediately after. Like immediately after my mom was put in the ground, my whole life went upside down. I moved from my hometown of Monroe, Louisiana, to Atlanta, Georgia, and that delayed the grieving process because now I have to focus on fitting in into a new
Yeah.
area, into a new environment at 17.
Mm,
Um, that was rough. I met some amazing people along the way. Um, had a great friend group there. I will say that. So I will not negate that part at all. Had a great friend group there. Some are still,
mm.
lifelong friends to this day. Um, but it didn't change the absence
Of
of my
course.
mom, and nor the impact of the shifting
Mm,
suddenly. I think that I even think that put an additional strain on my
mm,
relationship with my dad,
mm,
um, because he was viewed as the person in my mind. He was viewed as the person who was not there and only showed up after my mom died.
mhm,
And so processing that, thank God we've been able to come around full circle and mend our relationship. Um, but that journey,
yeah.
like I said, 27 years. Um, and
Mm,
I still feel like there's so long of a way to go. Um, and why I really wanted to do this again, because I know grief is one of the things that we talk about in church at the time of the funeral. We
mm.
talk about, we care for people. We remember certain things on birthdays and holidays, but then after a period of time,
The
it just
everyday
becomes
living.
like, yeah, everyday living. It just becomes like the absence is a way of life, and the absence, and we almost, in a sense, become desensitized. to the grieving process
Mm,
and the timing of it, and we box people into what we think is enough time, or we box people into the thing of how do you should
mm,
grieve this way. It should look like this for you. It should flow like this for you. And I think it's taken on many different forms for me over the years, from writing, to starting businesses, to
mm,
um, trying to show up for everybody because that was my mom, almost trying to be my mom in a sense,
mm.
in the most manliest way possible. Trying to be her in a sense, like who she was, how she showed up for people. Um, and it was just, I think at this point now, um, and we've been kind of, and it kind of flows with what we've been talking about. We talked about in the last episode with you actually, about no longer performing,
Mm,
and you lost yourself trying to be loved. And I think in those instances, grief will take on these, it'll morph into these different things that look like so many different things when it's not addressed. And you'll wake up and you'll find out that you don't even recognize who you are anymore. And when you start tracing back to where you got lost at, um, I didn't grieve, or I started doing this so I didn't have to face this. So
mm.
when this
Kept busy.
emotion got heavy, yeah, I got busier. When this
Mm,
emotion got heavy, I deflected,
mm. Yeah,
instead of sitting in it and processing it, in a healthy way, I deflected. And, now
yeah.
I feel like I've been in a place of consistent deflection. Um,
Mm,
and that's an area in me that I no longer want to, deflect on. You know, I don't want to deflect on that. So, there it is.
there it is. And do you know what? When people ask me about grief
Yeah.
and how do they deal with grief, I always say to them the only way to deal with grief is to grieve. There
Mm,
is no other way around it. Otherwise, we're not dealing with it. We're deflecting, we're avoiding, we're
mm,
doing all these other things. The only
yeah.
way to process grief is to grieve.
Yeah.
Having that space, and that's why I found it so important just then to just let you speak, because you said after 27 years, I know that your mum has been a driving force behind a lot of what you do, but you've
Yeah.
spoken around it. You've not just sat and
Yeah.
spoken directly to it, directly to your
Yeah.
feelings, directly to what comes up for you, directly to
Yeah.
what it's like living every day and the memories that come up. So just
Yeah.
talking to it. And I said, you know what, let's just give it space.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
just grieve in this
Yeah.
moment. And even just to say earlier, I'm so proud that you're doing this.
Yeah.
And I think even being one of those people that you show up for, when I lost my mum, you were one of those people that were there and
Yeah.
was one of those people that I could talk openly and honestly about grief, and we
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
those undiluted conversations. And sometimes it is like what you just mentioned, the kind of performing for everybody else,
Yeah.
trying not to show how soul destroying trying to live life after loss really is or really
Yeah.
can be sometimes, and trying to
Yeah.
rebuild and trying to honor their memory but falling apart and all of this. There's so many things that happen in the process. So I'm glad that we're giving it room today to just be honest with the people and be like, listen,
Yeah.
this is what it is behind the
Yeah.
cameras, behind being a grief coach or a grief counselor, well, all the other hats that I wear. This is what real life really is. And when you shared with me that it was 27 years with your mum on Friday, and I said, oh, it would have been my mum's birthday on Saturday as well.
Yeah.
And it was like we have to come together and do something to
Yeah. Yeah.
honor their memories for
Definitely.
two amazing mums, two amazing
Definitely.
mums.
Definitely. Definitely. Your mom was so cool. Your mom was so cool. I mean,
Oh,
yeah. So I get it. It even is showing up for you at that time. The crazy part is I think, um having a bird's eye view,
mm,
and having had been on the journey for a while when it comes to navigating life after loss, especially
yeah,
the loss of a mom. It's
mm,
different.
it is.
When you lose, it's different. It's this is mom. You know what I'm saying? It's a completely different. It's
Mm,
different. It is that's the only thing it's different. It's different.
mm,
It
mhm,
resonates different. It echoes. It's just it just is different. And so um any way I could soften that experience and not
mhm,
make it so jolting because it's
mm.
jolting when
Oh my God.
you go to bed with a mom and you wake up without.
Oh my God.
And that constant presence that they are, especially when you have a good mom,
Mm,
that constant presence that they are. It's like I know we talk about dads and fathers and all that stuff. I didn't have the benefit you did. I didn't have necessarily the
yeah.
benefit of growing up with mine. And so
Mm,
my anchor was my mom. Like
mhm,
that was it. And so she was the disciplinarian. She was the
mm.
nurturer. You know what I'm saying? So I get a whooping and then I get a hug.
Yeah.
So it was the balance in between that. She was the motivator. She was the one that was at everything. The one
Mm,
up at night making sure I was ready to go when I had to give speeches at school, when I had to be in a play at my church. She was the one that was up at night rehearsing my lines with me, so just the whole dynamic when I started writing.
yeah.
She laughs because she says I was writing before I was actually talking. And
Oh,
just
wow.
even that process, um, I was born with a blood clot on the right side of my brain, and they gave her a list of everything I wouldn't be able to do.
Mm.
And her response to that was, "Okay, challenge accepted." That was like her response
Wow.
to that. And so
Yeah.
to see like
Yeah.
this is the person that kind of believed you into the things that other people
Course.
were just ready to
Mm.
accept and just be like, well, yeah, yeah, but he gonna be different, he gonna be
Mm-mm.
special, and
Mm-mm.
her mind like, okay, I hear what you're saying,
Mm.
but not my baby. And I was the baby boy, so it was like
Yeah.
it was completely different. And so all of this and understanding, like even from my love for God, like her literally saying, I can't teach you how to be a man, but I can teach you how to love God.
Mm.
And if you love God the right way, you can actually become a great man,
That's right.
And so teaching
Mm.
me that and giving me the love I have for the scriptures, the love I have for God. Just I learned how to study the Bible with my mom. So it wasn't
Wow.
seminary. It was literally my mom. Like she was the one
She
that
literally gave you the blueprint for life.
man,
In
literally.
those
And so
17 years, she gave you
and
the
that's
blueprint that would
yeah.
last you forever.
That's so real. That's so real. Like critical thinking, looking at a situation, honoring perspectives,
Yeah.
just having a honest love for truth, even when
Mm.
truth is not favorable, but
Yeah.
still loving truth.
Mhm.
Um, not loving just feeling good in a moment, but loving truth. And so it's just those things I remember I carry with me. Um, but man, I love to just talk to her. We had this routine that we would do every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, she would get ready to go to um, Miss Eloise's beauty salon and get her hair done. But before she went to Miss Eloise's beauty salon and getting her hair done, um, it was a scalp scratching session. So she would sit on the floor, I would sit on the couch, and I scratch my mom's head and we just talk while we're watching the
Oh,
stories. So we'd be
yeah.
watching Young and the Restless
Mm. Mm.
and watching Victor Newman do what Victor Newman does. And we're just talking. But that experience,
Yeah.
is so many more I can
Oh, wow.
man, I can just pull these remember, but it's those moments, it's the conversations.
Absolutely.
Um, I was a teenager that when my friends asked me what you doing, I'm at the mall with my mom, and they were like, "Oh, we on the way, cause your mama cool. We want to be around Miss Alberta too."
Oh my God, I love
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, I had no problem sharing those moments. I was never trying to get away from her.
Mm.
It was just as much as I could be around her, I just love being around her. And again, a lot of it has to do with um, because sometimes I think people see you, they see you, and they don't understand what it takes to actually be you.
Oh my
That's
God.
in front of them. That's smiling in that moment. That's encouraging them in that moment.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand what it takes to actually be you. And for everybody, it's different. Everybody is different. Some people are
That's
just,
deep.
but then there are those of us who um we do it, and I don't know how to articulate this
Mhm.
properly. Um, but we do it, and we do it almost in a sense like it's all we know,
Mm.
because it's automatically in us. And so those moments that come where that person gets restored, that person gets reaffirmed, that person gets built back up, that person gets what they give constantly. Um, and I know a lot of people live like that. Matter of fact, I was watching this podcast episode with Alex Hermosi and Tony Robbins, and
Mhm.
I may even put the link to it in the comment section. But Alex Hermosi, for those who are not aware, is a guru. Well, I won't insult him by saying guru. He is a beyond high achiever when it comes to entrepreneurship, scaling and growing a company and a business. And he and his wife built something, oh my God, amazing with a company called Acquisition. And he's that guy. He's got a marketing style. He's got an eye and an ear for marketing that resonates to the point that he can scale a company from 250,000 to over 10 million. And it's a gift. It's not a thing like, oh, he just happened on it by chance. Like they literally write systems and structures for this.
Yeah.
And he said something in an interview with Tony Robbins, and everybody should know who Tony Robbins is, like the
Yeah.
number one life coach in the world. He said something where he was denying himself happiness, and putting himself in a bad position if it meant that someone else could succeed. And he had this phrase that he used, and I'm not gonna say it, but I'll use. He said "F happiness," and that was like
Mm.
his personal motto to keep achieving at a high level. And Tony Robbins was like, "No, no." He was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we don't succeed, and we don't succeed and live making everybody else happy while we suffer." But that
Mm.
was how he had to program himself to achieve what he
Keep
achieved.
pushing. Mm.
And once he got to that place, because the reality was he didn't find enjoyment in his work anymore. He wasn't
Oh, I
challenged in his
see.
work
Yeah.
anymore, and it was like something's missing. And
Mm.
Tony Robbins pretty much he started talking about his journey, and anybody that knows his journey is absolutely amazing. But he talked about how he deals with things that challenge him now, how he lives. It's enjoyment first. It's love first. I gotta love what I'm
Mm.
doing first. Money will
Mm.
come. I don't chase money. I chase fulfillment, the purpose of my fulfillment, me being fulfilled in doing what I'm doing. It's gotta mean something. It's gotta resonate with me deeper. Um, build a company, you build a company. Um, but like changing a life. And for Tony Robbins, it's impact. And I identify and I resonate with that so much. And I know you and I have talked about it before. Like, the thing that drives me is impact. Um,
Mm.
I want to make somebody's life better. I don't mind sharing my scrapes, my falls, this moment here, if it'll help somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Process better, not linger in the wilderness of grief, but actually move through it. Because
Mm.
grief can become a wilderness, and then it can turn into a cemetery if you don't process it accurately. And
Absolutely.
I think I've been circling in the wilderness for a long time. Um, and even
Mm.
with that, like I'll because I'm a pretty transparent person to a degree. Um, but I think I've been circling in the wilderness of grief for a while from the standpoint that um this is just something that I'll deal with. And if I can get a moment alone, I'll face it. If I can't get a
Mm.
moment alone, I'll keep pushing, or I'll write a book. But then the
Mm.
thing about when the book is over, that moment is over. The book is distracting in a sense. I've
Mm.
been working on for maybe about 5 years now. This book called Heart Healer,
Yeah.
and it walks through the stages of grief. And I
Mm.
got stuck. I got stuck in the writing, and I left it and wrote two other books, and just left Heart Healer right there. Like just okay, it got too heavy for me. It got too real. I started feeling
Yeah.
things that I'm writing, and I'm crying while I'm writing, and so it's like okay,
That's it.
I I gotta put this
Because
to the
the
side.
moment you start to talk
Yeah,
about grief or open yourself up to grief, it
yeah,
almost brings you right back to the early stages. It's one
yeah,
of those things that it just transcends time. So
yeah,
it could be 5 years, 10 years,
yeah.
27 years, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm facing this all again
All over again.
right there. And I think
Wow, wow.
slightly differently, when you were just saying that you're all about impact, I think one of the ways that I processed grief in the beginning, which was really difficult, is I didn't want to help anybody anymore. I
Mm,
didn't when people would say to me, you know, other people are gonna come to you and they're gonna wanna hear your testimony and hear how you hear how you handled grief and navigated life after loss, and I was just like, I'm not about it. I I
mm,
I I I found it almost disrespectful that people would feel that, okay, now you're gonna have a testimony, you're gonna have something to talk about. And I'm like, do you really think that me losing my mum is giving me a testimony that I want to talk about? I've got other testimonies in the closet that I could pull out. This is
that
not a testimony for me. This is the
yeah,
absolute worst
this
nightmare.
hurts. This
This
hurts.
hurts. It hurts beyond
Whew.
comprehension. It hurts beyond words that are
Yeah,
in the English language that
yeah,
I could even describe. So for me in the beginning when people would and it was a nice suggestion because obviously I'm a therapist and all I do is
yeah,
help people. So it's kind of like, oh, this is something else that you can do, and people are going to be drawn to you. And when people were coming to me for support or advice or whatever, or even if I had a client come through and I could see, oh, they want grief, I'm not interested. I can help with depression, anxiety, and this and this and this, but grief, no, no, no,
yeah,
I'm not touching that. And then I would have clients that would come to session and they would tell me that they're coming for this. And then down the
yeah.
line, it'll be like, oh, by the way, I lost my mum. Oh, by the way, I'm also grieving. And it'll be weeks later. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me this in the beginning? Because I
Why
would
you
have shut
start with
it.
that?
And I
Yeah,
started to see the way how God was shape shifting things to be able to help me move beyond my I'm not helping nobody because I can't even process this pain myself. So how am I going to help anybody else?
yeah,
And just slowly I just started doing little videos on TikTok because people would ask me like, what is it really like
yeah,
living with grief? What's it really like losing your mum? And every time I'd have a thought or a feeling, I would just post a little TikTok and just talk about
yeah.
it. The loss of
Wow.
identity,
Yeah,
the feeling homeless, that feeling of homelessness was just something huge, feeling like you
yeah,
have no anchor, no foundation, just
yes,
surviving, trying to how do I live life?
yeah,
How do I come out of survival mode and start living again? How do I balance this? How do I even get up in the morning and get it together to try and help other people?
yeah, yeah.
All of
Wow.
that.
The
So
the
I
homelessness. Whew.
yeah, the homelessness. So just doing little bits
Yeah,
at a time
yeah,
helped me to start realizing that okay, as much as I don't want this to be a part of my testimony, as much as there still is that pain of God, why did you couldn't you have picked something else for me to go through? Like,
yeah,
why did it have to be this? And for this to be the biggest thing that I do now. A lot
yeah.
of my work now is based around grief and based around motherlessness. And it is the most painful part of my existence.
Wow.
But it's the thing that I have to talk about often and the thing that I have to show up
Yeah,
for and the thing that I have to sit and process every single day. But
wow.
yeah, finding the words is hard because there is no words for this. You
Yeah.
imagine the worst
It's
thing to happen and then this is it.
this is it.
This is it.
This is it. This is it. Wow. Wow. Do me a favor, angle your camera just a little bit down. It's cutting you off a little bit. All right, perfect. Perfect. Man. Oh goodness. You said homelessness.
Homelessness.
And to give, oh my goodness, that word. So,
Mm.
oh my goodness.
What's
Oh
coming
my
up for you?
goodness.
Go there.
The search, the search, the search for that safety, the search for that safety, the search for, um, because when you think about home, you think about safe. When you think about home, you think about, I can just be me. I'm at home.
Mm.
I'm my most comfortable when I'm at home. If you go to someone else's house, what do they always tell you? They say, make yourself at home.
Yeah.
And that's a way to try to get you to relax, be comfortable, let you know you're in a safe environment, let your hair down, put your feet up,
Mm.
And I think for me, um, and not saying I haven't encountered rooms where I could be at home. I think it's I know in a sense I haven't allowed myself to huh, be at home in certain places or in certain things for fear of replacing um what I've identified my entire life
Mm,
as home. Like this is if anybody ever asks me, I always say I felt the safest at this time. And it
mm,
had something to do with my mom. I felt the most like myself at this time. It always has something to do with my mom.
yeah.
And since she passed, um, it's been like I've had homes. So we're not talking home roof in the literal sense. We're usually that emotional
Emotional
space
home. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that um man, I've I haven't allowed myself. There were instances where, I was trying to be at home in environments that I had no business trying to be at home in. Um, and then there were those moments where there were environments that had the potential to yield something amazing,
Mm,
but I wouldn't allow myself to be at home again for the fear that I would be replacing my mom, um,
mm,
replacing even, I could think over my life and I've had some amazing women that have come and that have um, almost been mother-like. Um, and I've literally, if I be honest and think about it, I've literally stopped myself from loving them more from the standpoint that the fear that loving them more would mean I'm loving her less. And so, um, not replacing. I can't replace her. So I'm gonna keep you at this length.
yeah, yeah. That makes so
So
much sense. I get it.
yeah, you can't get
Mm.
too close because if you get too close, we'll start making memories, and these memories may outshine those memories. You may show up for me
Oh,
in a way, and it outshines how she showed up for me, and I wouldn't be here
mm,
if it wasn't for her.
mm.
And again, but I think that's why I think I've been in this wilderness of grief, just kind of circling, um,
It's
just
also
kind
the
of.
balance. Sorry to cut you. It's the
No, you're good.
balancing, and that's
Yeah.
what I don't think a lot of people understand. It's like I described it one time. It's like walking a tightrope, and you've
Mm,
always got this duality of emotions that you're always having to carry. So, like when you
mm,
spoke about, I've got my memories of my mum, and I've got other mother-like figures, and I'm trying to receive the love, but I can't fully tap into it because I don't want it to overshadow. So you're just trying to balance both. You can
yeah.
have happiness and sadness at the same time. You could have a memory that makes you laugh, and then in that same moment, you're crying whilst you're laughing,
Yeah.
and you're always trying to balance every little thing. But like that moment where you spoke about other people coming in and having that motherly love, and you just, you, what can you do?
Yeah. That's real. That's
It's
real.
like it's only
That's
so
real.
far there's only so far that you feel like you're able to go with it
Yeah.
because you're like this is irreplaceable. This is
Yeah.
irreplaceable. We
Yeah.
appreciate those that are there and those that are come and those that hold that
Yes.
space. Um, but it is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I will say is when my mum passed, my mum was really close to my dad's two sisters, my
Mm,
aunties. And
mm,
from the day she passed, they stepped in and they just held that gap. So
yeah.
as much as the void was so there,
Hmm.
my
Yeah.
aunties were so present that it's like even if I wanted to fall, it's like they're the bungee cord that
Yeah. No,
that
I
is
get
just
it.
pulling
I
me
get it.
up. So it was like,
I get
and it
it.
was never like they were trying to replace my mum. It's just that we
Yeah.
know that this gap is huge, and we know your
Yeah.
mum, and they had their own relationship with their mum. So it's just like they just knew how to fill that gap and just kind of
Mm,
support
yeah.
me and my family underneath.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? As much as nothing fills that void, I'm like, I also needed that because if I didn't have that,
Yeah.
really don't know how I would have processed being able to move forward
That's real.
because the void was so
That's real.
huge. Yeah.
That's real. And you know what's crazy? I think I think that maybe that's where I got stuck.
Mm. Toolkit.
Because so after my mom passed, like I said, I shifted to Atlanta. Um, and it was like I didn't grief didn't really hit me. I didn't cry at the funeral. I didn't cry when I got the news. I sat in silence pretty much the entire day.
Mm,
My friends Scott and Matt, they were there. Um, then I moved right into making the arrangements
mhm,
at
right.
17. That's a
Mhm,
whole
mm.
nother conversation in itself.
Yep.
Then I moved into making the funeral arrangements. Then it was let's make sure everything is together. Got to send my mom off right. Um, then it
Isn't that right?
was here we are at the burial, and here I am finding out at the burial that I'm gonna have to. I'm moving. Like when this is over, I'm on the road in the morning
Oh my
to
God.
Atlanta. So it's like processing that and then getting to Atlanta and processing the adjustment, processing fitting in, now processing um um the weight of I gotta fit in here. And I don't think he did it with this intention. Um, and I was never vocal about it, but like now I gotta figure out a way to make my dad proud.
Mm,
I'm here. I never asked to be here.
mm,
I wasn't looking to come here. Um, but I'm here now. So I gotta make it worthwhile. Then the conflict of who I was in Monroe, Louisiana, with who I have to be now here in Atlanta. Um, and then ultimately, um, it was a Sunday. It was a Sunday service, and Archbishop Jimmy Lee Smith started singing a song that my mom sang.
mm.
And before I knew it, I was wailing in church, and had I didn't even know I was crying as loud as I was crying. Didn't know it was just full body. I cannot stop crying. I cannot
Wow.
stop. I can't stop. I'm trying to stop. I can't stop.
Mm,
Um, and let me get through this moment. Got through that moment. It was like, all right, suck it up, chief. Like, don't do that again. That was so awkward. Like, and
mm,
there have been moments throughout the years, um, where like I said, writing, dealing with certain things. Most of my intense moments have come in writing. Those moments where I've had to face it and feel it, they've come in writings or, on a road trip pondering something while I'm driving, and
mm,
it'll be that moment. Or sometimes definitely with funerals and watching other people bury their loved ones, um, and watching children lose their mom. Um, it brings it back, but then of course I stuff it back down from the sake of this is not my moment. I need to show up for them type deal.
mm, mm,
Um, and so really actually processing it. And when I look back, I haven't had, and I don't know if someone has come in my life in that sense to really be a gap stander in that fullness. Um, I think my aunt Deanie, she tried, but because we shifted, to Atlanta,
mm,
that made it a little bit more difficult for my aunt Deanie.
mm,
Um, as far as with just kind of showing up in a way,
mm,
um, that that that's like I want to make sure you're good. I want to
mm,
stand in that gap. Um, I've had more um, within the aspect of church,
mhm,
and and I think for me that was only one aspect of my mom. That was only
mm,
one aspect of that relationship because there was a whole nother side, like the laughter, the jokes, the fun that didn't have to do with talking about church and Jesus 24/7, but just everyday mama. And so that part, um, no gap stander. And again, like I said, when it comes to the church, it's been people who kind of look out, um, but it's weird, it's different. And I don't know if that's because I didn't allow them or I didn't, um, I don't know. I just know that here looking back, it's like, yeah, I've been processing this alone, and I think that was one of the things. I think that was the moment in my life that that Fred being a loner type, like I'll move in the crowd, but I won't let the crowd move me type deal. Like I love
mm,
being around people, But then anybody that knows me, been around me for a while, especially in a crowded setting, they'll notice, they'll be like, "Hey, where did Fred go?" I'll duck out in a minute.
Yeah.
I'll dip in a minute. I'll come. I'm gonna shake everybody's hand. I'm gonna love everybody. Everybody's gonna see. Everybody's gonna feel seen. They're gonna feel heard. They're gonna feel important. I'm gonna share a moment with everybody, and then I'm out.
I'm so
And
similar. Oh my God.
yeah, I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
retreat because,
Mhm, mhm.
again, aside from it being a lot,
Yeah.
I just retreat, and I think, um I don't know, when I think about it, I think that's when I really started finding that peace and solitude type thing where I can I can process, or try to process and decipher what I want to process. Okay, because to be honest, we make decisions on what feelings we process.
Mm,
We decide when the feelings become a little bit too much to bear. We deflect from them. And I've done that,
mm,
especially, well, actually, yeah, mainly in the area of this with my mom. And then there are some moments I'll allow myself to sit in it and feel it.
mm,
Um, but I stop the moment when it seems like the feeling is becoming more, turning into a depression type deal. And so I'll stop, um, and just kind of shake back, you know, but it's like I don't know. I Like I said, I was writing a book. So denial, anger, bargaining,
mm,
depression,
mm.
acceptance. Those are the stages.
Yeah.
5 stages of grief. And it's like, at some days I'm at acceptance, then I think I've gotten past the denial. I've effectively gotten past that stage. She gone. I know she gone. It's 27 years. If she
Mm.
popped up right now, I would be more apprehensive than anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got past the denial. She's gone. The anger, I've gotten past the anger. It's the bargaining, depression, and acceptance that kind of I've been circling. I've been circling those. I've been circling those because, the bargaining. Um, we talk about legacy a lot in our culture. We talk about legacy. We talk about generational things a lot in our culture. We talk about what are you leaving behind for someone else. We talk about paying it forward a lot in our culture. We just talk about the consideration of those who have gone before you so many times, in just society and culture. Um, and I think, um, I have been working so hard, um, to leave a mark for two reasons. Number one, um, that's been my dream since I was
Mm,
maybe 10 years old. I just
mhm,
want to live a life that leaves a major impact on the world
mhm,
for good and for God. That when people talk about me, um, the impact it resonates globally. That's just been my desire. It could be in whatever field, as long as it's for good and for God, I'm
mhm,
good. Like I want to leave a major impact. And then I think it's also the last conversation my mom and I had. Last conversation we had, um, June 19th, 1999. It was about 4:30 a.m. About 4:30 a.m. No, 4 a.m. 4:15 a.m. I walked into her hospital room, and we talked. We talked until we talked until maybe about 5 minutes to five, and then she told me to go home and get some rest.
mm,
Um, but we talked, and the last thing that she said to me, she said, "Make me a promise." And I said, "Anything." And she says, "When you die, make sure the world knew that you lived.
mm,
Leave your mark.
mhm.
Leave your mark." And that promise has been driving me.
Yeah.
Um, so then it's the grief aspect into keeping that promise, into holding, living that out in a way. But
Mm,
that's the last thing she asked me. Yeah,
yeah.
I can't not do that. That's the last thing she asked me, you know. And it's not that I don't want to do it. I
Mhm.
think there have been moments where it has become a weight.
Yeah.
I felt like a weight, the responsibility of that promise, um, has pushed me to process a lot of things differently.
Mm.
Um, but knowing my mom's heart, I know she would never settle me with a promise like that to drive me crazy or drive me insane. And so it's I just want to ultimately put everything into its proper perspective, its proper placement from the grieving and the processing. And so I can, because it feels like there are those moments where it's kind of feels, I don't know if you can identify with this, those moments where it almost feels like your life is circling
Mm.
around um, something and it's that thing and in the middle is your mom and all the memories and the
Mm.
experience and everything. And it feels like um, if I go this way, I can't go this way, I can't go that way. I'm just
Mm.
kind of I'm circling. I'm
Mhm.
circling it. In the middle is the reality
Mhm.
that um, honestly, the one person who I know would help me sort this out
Yes, mom.
isn't isn't here
Mm.
to help me sort it out
Yeah.
and give space to it. And so, of course,
Mm.
in ministry, the Holy Spirit, He's wonderful. He's absolutely amazing. I don't think I'd still be here. I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for Him. He's absolutely amazing. He does lead you and guide you into all truth. Um, and in that same instance, in that same reality, um, I don't know if at certain moments it's the fear of um, picking wrong because again, my mom, she was the balancing. I could even as a kid, I could bounce any idea off of her, and
Mhm.
she helped me sort through the pros and the cons of it. She
Mhm.
helped me sort through, all right, know everything that you're doing before you do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what to do. She was never one to say, I'm going to tell you what to do. She literally, our relationship growing up, before I would do anything, it would literally be a discussion of outcomes. Like, is this the outcome that you want? Is this the outcome that you want?
Mhm.
Some people grew up with the parents that said, do such and such because I said so. There were certain things I got that, but most of the things I got the conversation that caused me to think, you
Mhm.
know? So it's like having that conversation or having that balance, that reality. I don't know. I don't know. This is interesting. This is the first time I'm talking about all of this stuff. So
How will
yeah.
you find it talking it out? Saying all this, because this has probably been going around in your head for years.
Yeah.
What is it
Yeah.
like giving voice to it and saying it out loud?
It is scary. In the sense that man, like sometimes when you can hear yourself, you don't know how big of a hold something may have on you until you kind of hear yourself. And when you hear yourself, it's like, and I'm normally, you know me,
Mm.
I'm very good at processing and communicating. I'm very good
Yeah.
at sharing thoughts and communicating and persuasive conversation and articulating well what I feel and what I think. But to hear myself and to not, to be stuck in articulating, stuck in processing, stuck in putting it
Mm.
together and making sense of it all, um, that says to me that it's number one, it's long overdue. Um, and number two, it's definitely something that um, even after this conversation, I gotta keep working at. I gotta keep looking into. I gotta keep facing. I gotta keep dealing with. I can't say, okay, I had a conversation and I'm good now.
I
it's
think that's one
I
of the
yeah,
sorry, that's one of the things
no, you're
that
good.
I realized very early on in the grief journey is that this
Mm,
isn't when people say, "Oh, it gets easier with time." Okay, for you, maybe. For me, it got different. It didn't get easier, it got different.
it got different.
It got
Yeah,
different. And
yeah,
it's realizing that this is a lifelong journey. What I explained to one
yeah.
of my clients is that you imagine carrying a backpack full of rocks, and every
Mm,
single day you've got this backpack on with rocks. Eventually,
wow.
you start building the muscle to be able to carry this backpack. In the beginning, it was heavy. It's like if you go gym and you're lifting weight, it's heavy, and
Yeah,
you acclimatize to the weight that you're carrying. So I said, with
yeah,
grief, the weight doesn't go. Grief doesn't go. You become
Yeah.
acclimatized to the weight that you're carrying. You get a little bit stronger in the way how you
Yeah.
carry it. You stand
Yeah.
up a little bit straighter because you realize, okay, cool, this is not so heavy. I don't have to crouch down no more, but it's still
Mm.
there. I'm still carrying it, but my posture is a little bit better with how I hold it, how I show up, how I'm lifting
Yeah.
it. And that's what I say to people. It's a lifelong journey. I am forever going to
Yeah.
carry grief, but I'm going
Yeah.
to try my best to carry it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
That's good. That's good. That's good. And I want to be that guy that can say that as well.
yeah.
I want to I want to honor my mom
Mm,
in the sense that I don't allow her transitioning out to stop me or block me from living the life that she instilled in me to live. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I said it before, grief can be a wilderness and it can also be a cemetery. And if you don't process it, if you don't go through it, if you don't deal with it, and I can look over my life, thank God, no cemeteries, but definitely some wilderness moments, some definite bona fide wilderness moments. I think we may have to do a part two to this. Some definite wilderness moments, because even when it deals with um, just love type, how you love, who you pick to love,
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
like the whole aspect, like it's
Mm,
layers to this. So for
mm,
um, those who are watching, and you're saying, okay, this was a great start of conversation. Absolutely right. Chaz'ara's information is going to be in the link in the caption for this video. Please, please, please. This is what she specializes in. I'm on the couch today. This is what she specializes in. Um, please reach out. Please start the conversation. Please, 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 please utilize her services when it comes to this, because one of the things I have found, um, I think I think if I had been open to talking about this much sooner than now,
wow.
maybe 27 years sooner than
Mm,
now, um, even in this conversation, there are things I can think of in my mind that I may not have had to deal with if I was talking about this earlier, as opposed to focusing on showing up for everyone and not being looked at like the weak person or being the person or being the oddball out because everybody's telling you you should be fine, or
mm,
they make the little comment, it's been so long, and I'm just recently started speaking up when it comes to certain conversations. It's like, hey, my mom's been gone for a minute, but there are moments it feels like it was just yesterday.
absolutely.
There are moments, and this is years later, and I think that's one of the things I shared with you when you're my past. Was like,
Mm,
I can't lie to you and tell you it gets better with time,
mm,
because there are moments where it feels fresh,
yeah.
and I'm not gonna lie to you and be like, oh yeah, everything is fine and time will happen and you'll be fine.
Nope.
It's a journey, and what's crazy is I can advise somebody and tell someone that while still running from it
It's the truth.
on my side, because it's
It
like,
is the
man, because
truth.
it takes it takes courage more than anything. It takes
Yeah.
courage more than anything to grieve. It takes courage to grieve, because grieving is not just about them being gone. Grieving is about facing the void. It's about facing um it's about facing that empty pocket now, that empty pocket of space. The
Mhm.
void in the sense of what their presence bought, but then also the pocket that's left, because you've got to take everything now that and remember everything, and recall everything, because they're not
Mm,
here anymore to remind you. They're not
yeah.
here anymore to echo it to you.
Yeah.
So you want to remember every single moment, and you want to capitalize on every single moment. Those times when you should have been listening, that you weren't listening. Now you want to go back and try to listen,
Yeah.
and you start thinking, what would Mama say? What would
Mm,
Mama do? In those moments, but just those spaces and those pockets, don't allow them to drive you into a depression.
Mhm.
Um, Depression happens. I believe it happened for me when when I didn't look at. And I don't know if this is right or whatever, but this is just my thinking. I didn't look at the. I wasn't looking at the memory or the moment connected to the memory. I was just zeroing in on the absence and there being no new memories. And so that's
Yeah.
when depression hit me
Yeah.
heavy. It hit me heavy when it's like, I'll never be able to do this again.
Yeah.
I'll never hear her voice like this again. I'll never have this moment where I can sit with my mom like this again.
Absolutely.
But then when I start thinking about the memories connected to those moments that I wanted again, like I said, continue to get older, they just flood back. They flood back the
Mm.
conversations. They flood back the little phrases that she say. And I think I do more talking now at 44, saying "my mama said," "my mama told me" at 44,
Mm.
than I did in my 20s. That I definitely not did in my 30s. Um, but it's because I'm in a place now where, um, even with this conversation, the whole thing again about this is flipping the script on grief and not allowing grief to lead me,
Yeah.
um,
That's
um,
that is it.
but to take
Lead it.
control.
Mhm.
Yeah, lead it, take control of this process, this journey. And I can say I do feel better. I feel a little lighter. This is the first time I've ever like really just sat and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked about in regards to this. And so um, we'll do a part two. We'll do a part two for sure.
Do you
In
know what?
regards to
Just
this, and
to
yeah.
jump in, I
Oh, go
don't
ahead.
think we realize how important it is just to have a space to talk about grief.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially when we're in the fields that we are, where we're always the one to have the answers and to help people and to do all of this and
yeah,
do that and always be that person to then be
yeah,
on the other side where we are sharing our
yeah,
pain, where we are sitting and
yeah,
being vulnerable. I think this
yeah,
moment is it's so precious just to be here with you and just for you to just have that space to be like,
yeah,
this is my story. This is
yeah,
this is coming up to 27 years of my mum,
yeah,
and this is my life, and this is what it feels like behind being pastor, husband, father, entrepreneur, and
yeah,
all the other author, all the other amazing things that
yeah,
you do.
yeah,
This is what shaped me into being Fred who I am
yeah,
today. So yeah,
yeah. Wow,
I'm
wow.
honored. I'm honored that I was able to just sit and listen and be a part of this conversation where you're just able to share so openly about
Yeah,
how grief really feels. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you. And even with you, with this is gonna air on the 19th, and your mom's birthday the following day.
Yeah.
With just how you've been on your journey and watching you has been very empowering for me. Um, you've been on your journey shorter than I've been on mine, and it's your approach to it, the village
Mm,
that you have around you.
amazing.
Um, Man, your dad is awesome. Your
He is.
dad is absolutely awesome. Just watching how everything and just
Mm,
thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be vulnerable in this space and just share with you and even for your expertise and knowledge. Because see, sometimes people think that being an expert in something or being the person that helps someone along the way is about doing all the talking. It's about knowing what to say and when to say it, and just like I've got to go back and process now. Even the piece you said about the homelessness,
yeah.
when it comes to the emotions, and that's something that I really want to dig into, um,
Mhm.
because that can connect to the feelings of not belonging, that can
Yeah,
connect to the feelings of being out of place, not
absolutely.
fitting in, and
Mhm.
so I definitely want to investigate that more,
Mm,
and see how much of that is tied into this whole grief journey,
yeah.
and my approach to relationships, my approach to people,
Mm,
my approach to actual connections with people. So yeah, there'll be a part two. There'll be a part two for sure. Um, but thank you all. And Shara, I'll give you the last words that you can just whatever you want to share with people, those who may be grieving, those who may be in the process of 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 grieving, whose loved one may have passed recently or some
Mm,
years and they just kind of just kept moving.
mm,
And their life shows the effect of them being unhealed when it comes to the
mhm,
healing that follows grieving properly, or that comes not follows actually, but that's a part of
mhm.
grieving properly. So I'll let you speak to that.
I think I would just share that grief is one of those things, if you don't turn and face it directly, it will be something that is forever chasing you. Grief will run you down. So there has to be a moment where you turn around and you just look grief in the face and be like, okay, I'm going to deal with this now.
Yeah.
And it sounds very cliche, but it was probably one of the best advice that I ever got. When church people say, one day at a time, and then someone said to me, there are moments where you don't feel like you can make it through a day. That's when you take it an hour at a time. If you don't feel like you can make it through the hour, you take it a minute at a time. And there were days where it literally felt so overwhelming to feel like, how am I going to make it through the next hour? And I would just focus
Mm,
on the minute that's in front of me. Every
mm,
single minute counted because every single minute I was living with such pain that it didn't feel like I would make it to the next day. So I couldn't focus on the future. I couldn't focus on the next day. I had to just keep my head down until I could
yeah.
start building up my resilience and my strength to kind of lift my head up and start looking forward again. So if you're in
Yeah.
that space where you can only deal with what's in front of you, deal with it and deal with it well.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
little bit by little bit, you
Yeah.
just start raising your head, you
Mm,
start confronting it. You're doing what we do today. We have those conversations. You start listening to podcasts, going to therapy, speaking about it. One of the things that I'll quickly share is that
mm,
initially I dealt with the trauma of losing my mum and how I lost her so suddenly. And I went to therapy and dealt with that.
mm,
But I didn't deal with the grief of how do I now live after loss. So the
mm,
trauma I dealt with, I was
yeah.
having flashbacks and nightmares and all this kind of stuff. And I had to deal with the trauma, but then it was like there was still more work to be done with how do I carry this now? And
Yeah.
every single
Wow.
day I had to be very intentional. And my life looks completely different. There's things that I had to stop, there's things that I had to pull away from, there's things that I had to
Yeah.
completely change about myself because it
Yeah.
was like I am not the same person that I was. And I now have
Yeah.
to rediscover my identity and what it feels like to be me now and what my capacity is. And every
Mm,
single day I'm just taking it a minute at a time and figuring out, okay, this is what I can do. This is what I can manage. So for anyone that's in that
wow.
process, take your sweet time because this is not a race.
Yeah.
It is a lifelong
Yeah.
journey. And yeah, do reach out to me, peace of mind underscore CM on Instagram. And yeah, I'm here to walk this journey with you. I'm here to walk this journey with you.
Man, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll have her information will be in the caption of this. So again, please, 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 please utilize it. And
Yeah,
we'll have a part two to this conversation and dig a little bit more deeper into it. But again, thank y'all. Love y'all. Till the next time, we out.
bye.